Do you remember how you first felt when you learned that Santa Claus or the Tooth Fairy weren't real? Just fictitious characters told to us as children to make us believe the world was filled with magic and wonder. Pagan saints used to represent holidays, brands, and image essentially. Possibly you've cut ties with your religion, finally feeling a sense of freedom, or maybe even regret for believing in something for so long that you now renounce. Maybe even a great deal of shame, since renouncing your beliefs may have upset your loved ones. But I want you to personally think about how it made you feel when you found out something you believed in for so long turned out to be untrue. I'm going to share a recent revelation that I've had with you. And now this isn't completely unfounded. I've done the research and thoroughly studied the topic, and I'm hoping that I can change your mind about this. I have come to the realization that pussy does not exist. Yes, I'm talking about pussy. Pussy, coochie, punani, snatch, vagina, cunt, box, gash. Pussy in basically all of its forms does not exist. Now this may come as a shock to most of you, since coochie is ingrained into our society and is as common as Santa Claus or the Easter Bunny. But Santa Claus is known not to be an actual mystical person, rather a fun and whimsical representation of cheer during the winter holidays. So why do we accept Santa Claus as mythology but believe in pussy? I am here to answer that question. Now, any sensible human would know that if something cannot be observed, detected through any means, even with the use of instruments, measured, touched, smelled, tasted, it doesn't exist, or it only exists within the abstract. I have been inadvertently and now actively researching the existence of the vagina. And through my many years of trying to have a piece of the elusive pussy pie, I have not once seen, observed, touched, felt, smelled, tasted, or found any evidence that it actually exists. All of my efforts to obtain even the smallest morsel of pussy have been met with rejection and in some cases embarrassment. Now you may be thinking, hey, I know plenty of people who have gotten pussy. You may be one of the many liars who claim to have a pussy. You may even believe the common misconception that humans are birthed through the vagina. You may be one of the lying jerks who claim to have gotten pussy themselves and tell me things like, dude, just stop being weird and maybe you could shower occasionally and you might get some pussy. All complete lies. Let's first take a look at the claim of people, mostly men, who claim they know someone who has obtained a bit of punani. Every time one of your friends or maybe even your boss tells you that they've gotten some pussy recently, ask them, hey, let me see a pic of that pussy. In this digital age of smartphones, you would think that someone would have a pic, right? Whenever I ask these questions, I'm usually met with concerned looks, often angry rants about how I'm weird and should probably leave. These men get very defensive and are clearly lying to seem cool. It's no different than a child bragging about how they met the real Santa Claus at the North Pole, and when asked to produce evidence, they either have an excuse as to why they cannot or get very defensive. Another argument I have to the contrary is that there are multiple different definitions of how a pussy looks, feels, smells, and tastes. Every time I've eaten chicken, it has tasted like chicken. No matter which way you season it, flavor it, cut it, whatever, it tastes like chicken. Every alligator I've seen looks like an alligator. I've heard people describe pussy as clean shaven or bald. I've even heard people describe it as hairy. I've heard it described as loose and tight. You get where I'm going with this, right? Like, there is no definitive answer as to what pussy even looks like. If I told you I saw an alligator right now covered in hair, you would not believe me. This is reminiscent of the people who claim to have been abducted by aliens but never have a clear consensus onto what the aliens do or look like. The word vagina didn't even appear until the 17th century. You mean to tell me that until the year 1600, there was no vagina or pussy? That's pretty sus because humans have been around for a lot longer than that. So where was this mythical pussy? All I'm asking you to do is to think for yourself. That's it. Luckily, you do not need to, because this leads me into my second argument. The people who claim to have had a little pussy pie themselves. By this point, I'm hoping most of you just rolled your eyes at the thought of someone blatantly lying about it. But for the few that still believe, I'd like to talk directly to you right now. So most of the men who have claimed to have smashed a thotty or stabbed it raw have said that they met women at bars, clubs, on dating apps, or at work or school. They claim these simple meetups have led to them getting pussy. Well, I have replicated their experiments and have not once been able to reproduce their results, leading me to believe that they're lying. Let's take a look at my first experiment. Going to a nightclub, I dressed in my finest clothes, wore as much cologne as possible, and headed out bleeding with confidence, and also my many mosquito bites and sores on my back, which did stain my shirt a little bit. I spent the night dancing, asking women if I could see their pussy for scientific purposes, and it led to several women becoming irate, their boyfriend shoving me, and then I was eventually kicked out of the club. Clearly there was a huge cover-up going on here. I tried the same thing at a bar, ordering drink after drink, and then I woke up in the police station. I do believe I was drugged and brought into the station by the authorities for coming so close to the truth. I'm now on what's known as the Sex Offender Registry, which is just a way for the government to keep track of us fellow truth seekers here. My last experiment was conducted using a multitude of dating applications. I set up a profile and managed to find a few interested females. I told them that I am a Sigma male and uncircumcised weightlifter, and that the show's Friends and The Office are the funniest two things to ever exist. Things were going smoothly, and I was ready to be proven wrong until I asked bluntly if I could see their pussy. Communication ceased from there pretty much 100% of the time. This leads me to my next argument, the vagina loyalist. The vagina loyalists, or VLs, are people who not only subscribe to the notion that pussy exists, but actively claim to have one or have had a slice of the Coochie pizza. There is a major government cover-up going on. I believe these people are being bankrolled and paid to perpetuate the lie of pussy. I've been on this earth for quite a while and have never even seen a pussy. If every alleged woman has one, why haven't I seen one? Because people are being paid to lie. Why, you ask? Everyone talks about big pharma, no one talks about big pussy. They want to sell the idea of pussy to make men more docile and control our minds. Through my guerrilla research, I've asked multiple men and women on the street if they believed in pussy. Despite there being no concrete evidence on pussy, a staggering 95% of men I asked believed in pussy, and 100% of the women believed. Of the men sampled, 69% of those who believed claimed to have had pussy themselves in some form. 30% of those who claimed this were either married or in a relationship with a woman. When I asked if I could see the pussy of their significant other, I was met with mostly angry remarks, and a few times I was punched. The loyalists are very defensive of the lie and dedicated to perpetuating this pussy-centric narrative. My last point is brief, but some women claim to have pussy themselves. Yeah, some women claim to even have a pussy, and some of them even claim that humans are birthed through there. They even tell me just to Google a pussy, and while yes, there are several images and videos of pussy on the internet, those are all computer generated. It's obvious. It's just for our entertainment. You mean to tell me that when you watch the latest Marvel movie, you think the actors really went to space and fought aliens? Of course not. It's all computer generated imagery and special effects. Some of it looks pretty convincing, but it's all a bit of the old Hollywood movie magic, you know? That's the same with porn. Why do you think the subjects who star in these pornographic films are called actors? Mark Ruffalo really isn't a radioactive green mass of muscle. He is an actor. That's the same with these actresses portraying themselves with a pussy on screen. They're actresses. And that begs the final question. Where do babies come from? Well, the stork, and this has been in our history books for years. And now I know I may have bummed a lot of you out, and maybe you were like I once was, hoping to one day catch even the slightest whiff of a pussy. But now your dreams of that have been crushed, just like mine. And like the ever-continuing search for Bigfoot, anyone with half a brain knows that these believers are searching in vain for something that does not exist outside of the realm of fantasy. It doesn't need to be all bad though. Like I see clearly now. Now that I'm living in a post-pussy world, I can focus on more important aspects of society. Like, what is ligma? Who is D's? Where is Candace? Who is among us and why are they sus? I'm actually proud to come out as my true self. I don't need to shower or have a job or even wipe my ass to get pussy. The real pussy was the journey we took all along to find ourselves. I am a pussy atheist. Thanks for watching.